हेलो एवरीवन। आज हम एक ऐसे बंदे से बात करने जा रहे हैं जिसकी लाइफ में उसने काफ़ी चीज़ें देखी हैं। कम्स फ्रॉम अ सिंगल पेरेंट हाउस होल्ड, मूव्ड इन टू कैनेडा एट अ वेरी यंग एज and was navigating through his life by his own, understanding the world by himself, and comes up with great ideas. He started a community called Henny Lounge, which is now helping young entrepreneurs in the city of Winnipeg. तो यूनिक बंदा है, इंटरेस्टिंग थॉट प्रोसेस है, एंड आई थिंक दिस विल एड वैल्यू टू अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल्स लाइफ, coming from no guidance and becoming a directed arrow. So sets perfectly well with our podcast channel, The Undirected. Thanks for watching.
And knowledge. They say if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book, right? So he pulls out his gun, puts it to my face. I'm like, yo.
Friend, thanks for doing it on such a short notice. I mean, last week I told you that we're going to shoot a podcast and you were down for it. Welcome, Henny.
No, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on a podcast. I think there's some process that we had to go through, but that's life, right? There's always a process, you know what I mean?
There's always something coming up, so it's interesting, yeah. And what you're building is super interesting to me. That's what I, was looking on Instagram and I'm like, what is this guy up to? And then I found out that you're building this community. Tell us more, tell the fans more or the audience more about what you're doing and how it's working.
No, for sure, bro. So my name is Hani Mahari. I'm the founder of Hani Mobile, which is like a cell phone business. And then like the last 2 years, I got into real estate, primarily wholesaling real estate here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And so I grew up North End, downtown Winnipeg, my whole life. So we came here when I was about 11 years old to Canada. I immigrated here with a single parent mom.
Oh.
So I'm originally from Sudan. That's where I was born. And my background is Eritrean. So, when you come here, you're an immigrant, you don't really have as much, right? So you're starting from like a zero, especially with a single parent mom. My father was not in my life, growing up as a kid. So it really just taught me a lot as I kind of went to Winnipeg. I'm transitioning into figuring out who I was. Moved here when I was about 10 years old, like I was saying. So I grew up on North End, which is like not the greatest area of the city.
Yeah, it's rough.
Rough
at times.
So we didn't have as much growing up. And so how I got out of a lot of my environments, I used to play sports growing up. So as you see, bro, I'm about 6'4" or something. You told me when I walked in.
It was crazy, man. I didn't get the chance at the event to come say hi to you. But today when I came greet you, I'm like, oh, this guy's tall.
I get that a lot, bro. Yeah. So I'm pretty tall. So I use my height, to play basketball. So people always like tell me like, are you like, what do you do, right? Like, are you playing basketball, NBA? Like, so I grew up playing basketball my whole life, and so that's what I was doing throughout my whole.
So it must be hard for you to gain muscle, though. I mean, it's a long structure or whatnot. So.
Yes,
yeah.
Bro. So I actually grew up. I was a skinny kid though my whole life, bro. I literally was I think I was like through high school. I was like 150 soaking wet. Like I was very, very skinny, just because like I felt like why do I need to work out? Why should I train? But then as I got older, that really made a difference on me. So I started really going into the gym, started working out a lot, and because at the end of the day you have to build endurance, right?
100%.
And so strength training is one of the key components to like building anything, right? So that's especially in fitness. So that's what I've really been doing like the past 5 years or so. Really been going like heavy on my fitness and working out a lot, and you know what I mean.
Where does the idea come from for the Hani Lounge?
The event stuff?
Yeah.
Bro.
When did you started that?
That was like 2 years ago when I started doing the events.
Okay.
And that was that's out of fun. So what happened was, as you go into business, you start, let's say, having a little bit of success. What I realized when I was having a little bit of success, I saw like people in the market who were just like, didn't really want to come together. They didn't really want to give you information. They felt like if they had something, they didn't really want to share it. So I'm like, bro, that doesn't make no sense. Like, if you have knowledge, you should be able to share it with someone else.
100%.
Then one day I came across this mantra. It's an African proverb. It's called each one teach one. So essentially,
say that again.
Each one teach one.
And what is it called in African?
It's an African proverb. So it stands for like, let's say, for example, when you get knowledge and information, when you pass it down to someone else, you create like a ripple effect.
Can you say that again? Each one
teach one. So I'm actually wearing it right here. So it's on my shirt. Yeah. So it's called
each
one teach one. Yeah.
And what is it called in African? Like
so it's an African proverb. So it's a proverb, right? So like people believe in like when you because when you look at Africa, when you look at black people especially, a lot of us don't lack opportunity. We just lack knowledge. We don't have information, right? So when a brother or sister gets knowledge or information, when they give it to someone else, it creates a ripple effect, right? So I believe in like sharing knowledge, giving people opportunity and chances. So with the community events, that's really how it started. So I had to look myself in the mirror. I said, okay, if I have a little bit of knowledge in this business, if I'm having a little bit of success, what if I went out there and started teaching my frameworks and the things that I know in business? What can happen? So then I started doing that. I started doing a lot of content creation, going into the community, just doing events. I remember in my first event, I had like 3 people in the audience, bro. You know what I mean? I invited some people and nobody wanted to show up, right? 3 people came, but then when people started showing up, they saw that they were finding value, right, in the information that they were getting. So then I said, okay, let me start bringing people, experts who are in social media marketing and real estate investing. Let me bring them to the community and let them share their advice. So I'm not just like the one who's sharing my advice, but I'm getting them to come out and share.
People from different fields. Someone who, like at the event we were at, someone was doing wholesaling, retailing, and all that.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times, especially nowadays, when you look at social media, everybody is trying to sell you something. Everybody wants you to buy a course, right?
Yeah.
Like, buy my course, you know what I mean? Like, we'll do a virtual call. Nobody even wants to meet with you. So how can you give someone, because there's so much information overload is a real thing. Yeah. How can you bring someone who's an expert at what they do in their field and come to the community and be able to share? So I've had people like Maddie Thompson, who runs a mad social media agency. She's doing like 7 figures in business. I've had someone like Ryan, who's a CFO. The guy is like, who's working with clients who are making $1 million, right? These are people who are they protect their time. They're very valuable people, right?
That's right, yeah.
So I brought them into the community and they started sharing their knowledge and people found it very insightful. And how I did this was I just went out there, I started connecting with them one-on-one first, got to know who they were. And I gave them the vision of where I'm trying to build. And then they believed it and they said, I want to come out. And then after that, it's just the ripple effect. People started showing up. It started to grow and grow and grow.
And were you in the real estate scene then when you started Hani Lounge or no?
No. At that time, I was just in the Hani Mobile. I was in the cell phone business at that time. Yeah.
And where does that idea come from? Like, let's get into the mobile business.
The mobile business, bro, it's just, like I said, I got into it 2023. But I always tell people, like, I was already an entrepreneur when I was about 15 years old. So, like, my first...
What was your first preneur?
I was doing, like, buying and selling. So, I used to, like, buy stuff. And then when I was a kid, like, I used to buy shoes, video games, and I would resell them to people locally. And how I came across this idea was I had this one friend of mine when I was about 15. In high school, I had this one dude who's a Chinese guy. He was like, yo, like, I'm buying stuff. I would see him with, like, Gucci's and Jordans. And, like, where are you getting all this stuff? He's like, oh, I just go on Alibaba and I buy these shoes and I sell them. Like, are you serious? Like, but at that time, everything was replica. Nothing was real.
The real.
Because back in the day, nobody knew what was real, what was
and
fake.
As a high school kid, you don't have that much money to laying around, where you can spend $200 on a pair of shoes. Yeah. So everyone wants to be the cool kid.
Exactly. So you buying shoes for like $50, $100. But the thing is, everybody wanted to fit in. Everybody wanted to feel like, oh, I got swag on. I have like so much. Right, they wanted to look like they had money, right? And so, but I realized, okay, we have these. How do I go on this platform? So I went on Alibaba, started buying things like do-rag, like shoes, and I'll bring them to Winnipeg, and I started selling them locally. And at that time, it was a little bit challenging because my mom was like, you got to finish your education, you got to go to school. Like, what are you doing? And at that time, too, I was failing a lot in school. So I was getting like bad grades. I was not showing up,
selling
bro.
shoes.
Yeah. So
not paying attention,
yeah. So, but at the end of the day, it's like teachers would tell you, come to school, do this and that. But I was going to school to play basketball. Like, my intention was not to pursue high school. I just felt like school was not really for me. And because I was trying to do, on the side, I would flip shoes, I would buy things, and I was also passionate about video games too. So I never felt like I fitted in when I was a young kid. So I was an introvert my whole life, actually. Yeah. Like, funny enough, now we're doing this interview, I've been able to do content. Like, I was never talking to people. So it's crazy how it happens.
How did you flip the switch? I mean, you were introvert first, and now you're posting content. There must be some shift, Because it's hard. Me, myself, I'm trying to post content, and it always comes to me, what will people think? Yeah. How do you deal with that as an introvert?
Through what happened was, bro, like I was saying, when I started my business, so like I was saying, so in 2019, originally how I got into entrepreneurship, I got into it through stock market and investing. So I spent about 3 years or so trying to learn the market. So that's originally how I got into it. So the first book that I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad. I don't know if you heard Robert Kiyosaki. So in that book, Robert talks about, rule 1, the rich don't work for money. He's talking about. So I'm like, what do rich people do? They buy stocks, they invest into real estate, financial literacy. So at that time I picked stocks because I just didn't have as much money. So I was doing stocks, trading, and investing, but then I spent about 3 years or so really just trying to figure out the market. So I wasn't talking to nobody for about 3 years because I was just like, I need to like make money doing this. Then I got into day trading. That's when I lost a lot of money in day trading.
You lost a lot of money in day trading?
Like 50 grand or so in the market. Yeah. Then as I transition, I'm like, okay, what do I want to do next? Now I'm like spending too much time not coming out my house. Like I need to do something.
Yeah.
So then in 2023, I started getting into the cell phone business, which is I started buying and selling phones. And then that's when I realized I need to go out there, tell people who I am, what is my product that I'm selling. Because at the end of the day, if nobody knows who you are,
nobody
they're not
can
gonna
reach you.
They won't buy from you, right? So
100%.
that's what I started doing, bro. And that business, I literally started with like $365, bro. When I tell people like you don't need a lot of money to start in business, you just have to have an idea and you have to have the mindset. And as long as you have the determination, you can succeed. So I went into that business, bro, and I was able to grow it. So how I got into marketing originally was when I started that business, I said, I need to start putting my product and service out there. I got to tell people what I do.
Yeah.
I started documenting that process. So I would go out there, I would meet business owners, I would meet people in the community, and I say, hey, do you want to buy this phone? Do you want to buy this? You get rejected a lot in the beginning. But as I started to produce more content, just talking about the story of how I started, and then I started mentoring people as well too, I got better at my confidence and it started growing. So it's repetition, bro. The more you start doing it, the better you get over time,
and
bro.
gradually you build the confidence.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing that you brought up was you don't need too much money to start a business. I agree with you 100%. Most of the time people think they need a lot of cash laying around to start something, but it's most of the time it's their overwhelming desire if they really want to start something, or it's just inaction that's causing them that they're sitting down thinking they don't have enough money to start. Usually they do. They have at least $1,000, or they can borrow $1,000 to get something going off the ground. But it's the inaction, So
100%. Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to solve a problem. I think in any business, you have to be a problem solver, right? If you can solve someone's problem, then you're gonna get paid. I think a lot of people, what they do is they focus a lot on the money, and they forget the solving problems, right?
And the money comes in once you start solving problems.
Exactly. So for me, that's kind of where I realized over the years is like, if I just get good at, like, for example, when I got into the cell phone business, if I just get good at finding deals, if I can just prospect and call people and just find opportunities in the market that nobody's looking for, and I can sell it to people at a good, as at the end of the day, because you make money on the buy, right? Fundamentally speaking, in any business, it's buying and selling. So you buy low, you sell high. But in order to make money, you have to buy low, right? And
that's right, yeah.
Because you can't make money if you buy high, right? So it's like, if you get very good at just finding opportunities, finding deals, and of course, everything comes down to sales and marketing, right? Because you can buy products, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to market it. Someone has to be able to buy it. So you get their attention using marketing. So for me, that's what I really just been mastering over the years now. And so that's kind of what I really been doing, bro. You know what I mean? That's kind of my transition.
That's kind of cool, man. So starting flipping phones, no one thinks about it, right? You came up with a cool idea that, okay, why not let's start with phone and then gradually build the cash pile and then move into real estate, the bigger game, the bigger boy game, yeah?
Exactly.
Tell me, if you're comfortable with, tell me something about Sudan that you remember. Like some stories from Sudan I've heard. I don't know how the geopolitics is. Like you said, you have Eritrean background and then you moved to Sudan.
Yeah. So originally I was born in Sudan. Yeah, I was born. So my mom, she fled from Eritrea to go to Sudan. So that my background is Eritrean originally. But Sudan, man, it's tough, man. People, I think right now there's a lot happening over there right now with the war, and people are like, I think the biggest thing that I realized in Africa, there's just bad leadership, right? And I think we see this all the time in everything, even in business too, right? Whenever someone at the top is not leading by example, is, not making sure people are having a foundation. If we're fighting each other, then everything becomes corrupt. So it's happening in Africa and those parts of the world. You see this all over the world too. It's not just Sudan, it's Nigeria, it's Ghana. It's
happening everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah. It's governments have control, right? Someone at the top, and then they're just fighting each other. And then the people at the bottom, they're also getting hurt because someone is making terrible decisions. So I think, but evolution, though, I think Africa has a lot of potential. I think, because I'm seeing it right now where people are going to Africa, checking it out, and seeing how beautiful of a place it is. If you look at the news, you'll see that people are divided. But if you actually talk to people who've lived in Sudan, who've been in Eritrea, you realize that we're very nice people. We're people who are very welcoming.
Probably,
So if you go to like Eritrea, like for example, the way we grew up, like my grandma and stuff, if you come to my house, Like we're gonna treat you very well. We're gonna feed you.
Hospitality,
Hospitality is
yeah.
next level, right? So when you come here, though, we get so much programming, the way the news,
And it's
the
news,
outlets.
man. It's news propaganda. They try to tell that third world country and all that. Same with India, I mean, they'll tell you all the lies, but once you go and see it for yourself, that's when you can actually judge the country or, make your decision then.
Yeah,
But-
I'm actually looking to go back home this summer, hopefully. So
Yeah?
I'm looking to go back to Eritrea to visit my grandma. So it's gonna
That'll be fun.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking
Do
to
you
do.
visit often or no?
No, I actually haven't been there since I was a kid. So I think last time I was there when I was like 10 years old.
Really?
Yeah, before we moved to Canada, like 2009. So like it's
2009.
it's been.
But you've
it's
been
been-
back to Sudan though, or no?
No, I haven't been back to Sudan. Man.
Either.
No,
Okay,
no,
so
no.
it'll be quite a change for you,
My
eh?
first time, bro.
Are you excited, nervous, or what?
Eritrea, I'm excited, bro, because I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
to see my culture, right? I think fundamentally, like we have to be able to, because when you come here and you spent your whole life and you, like especially my youth here,
Yeah.
you get to see so many different things, right? And a lot of time I think, especially when I look at people who are Eritrean and like the youth now, a lot of them I feel like they're privileged, right? Because they have everything kind of given to them.
They have Wi-Fi and they
That's what
think
I'm
it's,
saying.
it's- they take for granted.
Literally.
Yeah.
If you go back home in Eritrea, bro, they don't even have Wi-Fi. That's how.
Yeah.
The system over there, like we have a leader. He's been in power for like I think like 30 years or so, and the way it is, it's like you can't even invest. There's no Wi-Fi. Like it's very like low level. So a lot of people who go to Eritrea, like you see people who like talk about it online and stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody really they show you the behind the scenes. Like it's real stuff, man. Like governments don't want you to like record. They don't want you to like get the Wi-Fi access.
Censorship and all that.
It's kind of crazy,
yeah.
bro. So.
Yeah, good thing is we came to Canada at the right time, and now it's getting harder and harder. And you think about immigration and all that. Yeah,
When did you come into?
I came in 2017, man.
Oh, okay,
2017,
okay.
I came as a student. Did my bachelor's, not bachelor's, but diploma of some sort. I wasn't good at school either.
Okay.
Yeah, I was good at school in India. I mean, I got good grades and all that. But once you come here, start making money, you get diverted, right? You don't pay attention to study as much. I was more into making money, getting my things done, or doing my jobs and all that. And then I moved to Winnipeg in 2020, COVID. Yeah.
Okay.
Before that, I was living in Vancouver. Yeah.
Okay, man.
So.
How has the transition been like for you? Because you're an international student, or you just
Yeah, I was an
Okay.
international student,
Okay,
and then
okay,
got
good.
my work permit, and then now I'm permanent resident. But nothing changes much, They all say, get your
Yeah.
permanent residency, get your permanent residency. They put so much emphasis on that
yeah.
that they brainwash you into thinking that that's the only thing that matters. While you work towards that, you don't do anything else,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Get a
yeah,
job,
yeah.
just keep working and get your permanent residency. That's my biggest problem with people these days. I mean, start something alongside while you're getting your permanent residency. Don't just wait for the permanent residency to show up and then you're
Yeah.
like, now what? Nothing changes, mate. Nothing
Yeah.
changes. Your life's still same. I mean, you were working at work permit, now you're working as a permanent resident. So yeah,
Yeah.
and then got into events. I did events myself at one point.
Okay.
Yeah, in the city.
Yeah.
So I started with Infinity Ultra Lounge.
Okay.
You know that guy?
Nice. Yeah. I think I've heard of that space. Yeah.
Yeah, so started
Yeah.
there, then did some events, and for 2 years I made money doing events, and then
Wow.
whatever money I made from events, I partnered with my buddies and started dispensaries here. Yeah,
Nice, bro. So what kind of events? Like clubs and
club nights, nightclubs.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but it got messy at one point. I started getting threats and all that, so I stopped out.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit. You know a guy named Shiraz Ali? You know Shiraz Ali? You heard of
No.
that name? He was in the club scene like 15 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah?
Him and some buddies. He was telling me, because I had him on my podcast. So he's another guy who's like, he started in there and then he went into real estate and now he's doing like Stock Sharks, which is like a big investment firm. So it's like everybody has a starting point, right? You have your
100%,
starting point
yeah.
and then you want to work your way up, right? So I think it's quite interesting to what happens though, you know what I mean?
it's a journey, man, and you got to make your first first pile of cash at somehow, and then use that cash to diversify or start something that is more rigid, solid, and you can rely more on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bro. That's
So-
good, man.
Tell me one thing, Henny. How was your transition from you started flipping cell phones, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And then now you do wholesale deals in real estate.
Yeah.
What are some of the major changes that you saw that, okay, now I'm in the big game, okay, wholesaling, bigger numbers, bigger this, that. How does that work out?
Yeah. Fundamentally speaking, I think the reason why I got into real estate, wholesaling primarily, it's just I wanted to challenge myself because I was already doing wholesaling with phones. You know what I mean? Like for years, for about you know what I mean, 3 years now. And we would buy a lot of phones and we would ship them across, you know,
Yeah.
in Canada, like 500 to 1,000 phones. But
What's the scale of that business of yours? Or for you?
Man, I think I got it up to like, you know, I think at one point we we're doing like 35K. Like I was moving a lot of product. But the biggest challenge that I find in any service-based business is that it's capital. Like you need to have a lot of capital up front in order to make money.
That's right.
Yeah. So the reason why I got into real estate wholesale, I'm like, well, you're telling me I can buy properties, zero money down, and I can sell them to people. I'm like, bro, sign me up for that. You know what I mean? Because now, like in the phone business, I would put so much money into the phones, right? You know what I mean? I would put like 50K.
So you'll have to put up
60K.
front?
Yes, in order to make 30, to make 40, right? And then I'm also putting a lot of my time and effort, right? But I already had the skills of negotiating, talking to sellers, because I was already doing that. Like I was saying, I was going out there, you know, I was already having a buyer's list. I was already connecting with business owners.
And fundamentally, it's the same thing doing phones or properties.
Same.
You know?
The only difference really is with wholesale and real estate is just the numbers are different, right? The numbers. So now with phones, if I'm selling you, let's say $100 phone and I'm making $50 profit. With real estate, it's now $100,000, right? It can go up. I mean, I think the highest can probably go up to a phone is like a 15, 16 Pro Max, like 1,500. But with wholesaling now, it's like 100,000, 200,000, right? It's a numbers game, and I think mentally you have to be able to have that mindset to be like, okay, we're not even caring about the product. We're looking at the numbers. Okay, we're gonna buy this for this price, and we're gonna sell it to this person. But at the end of the day, it's solving a problem in the marketplace. You see someone that's, you know, what I mean, going through depending on what kind of issue they have, maybe they have a distressed property. They're going through foreclosure, divorce, and I could tell you a little bit about my first deal as well too. But usually you find these opportunities, and people, once they see that you're genuine, you want to help them out, and you know you have that empathy for them, they're gonna want to do business with you. So that's what I find to be the most lucrative thing.
Yeah, I've always believed that you buy from people you like, right?
Exactly.
If you like me as a person, you'll be more inclined to be doing business with me instead of someone. Let's say you don't like someone, or you don't like the way he functions or operates his business or whatnot. You'll most likely not do business with him. And you yourself seem to be very open, joyful guy. So
I mean, I come off as like a nice guy because I'm always smiling and stuff. But I always tell people, like, I think one of my good friends, like Mike, tells me that he says like smiles don't pay bills. You know what I mean? Like we can smile all we want. At the end of the day, it's action, right? You have to be a man of action. People will see you smiling because you're having a good time, but they don't see the work that goes into making the end result. Like for example, the events, the real estate, you know what I mean, the podcast that I also run as well too. Like I'm always doing so many different things because
you're always on the move. I'm
trying to challenge myself. I don't like to stay comfortable because I feel like, why be comfortable? Why do the same thing repetitively? Like
you can't be smiling 24/7.
So like people tell you like, why not just do one business? And that's kind of what why you're interviewing people. It's like, bro, I want to challenge myself. I want to get out of my comfort zone. And the only way you do that is you got to do things that are going to scare you. So I think that's ultimately where I found to have a lot of my success.
How old are you, honey?
I'm 26 now.
You're doing good for 26. You're the same age as mine. I mean, you're doing so many things at one go. It's
How
amazing.
old are you?
26.
Oh, okay.
I'm
bro.
26. 99.
Nice, bro.
Yeah.
We got a lot of Gen Zs. We're killing the game right now, bro.
We gotta do something, Can't just go 9 to 5. It gets boring at one point. And
100%, bro.
So tell me, for people who don't know what wholesaling is, explain it in the most simplest way you can.
Yeah. By the way, I'm not an expert.
Okay. As much as you know.
So essentially in wholesale and real estate, the way I like to break it down though is like real estate fundamentally, like I think one of my good mentors, Stephen Arnold, when I read Money People Deal, which is a very good book to read if you want to get into real estate, it's Money People Deal, right? Essentially
Money People Deal.
But essentially I think the fundamental is just like in real estate, there's 5 stages to getting into real estate. What I thought when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad years ago, I thought you needed to own rental properties. I thought that in order to get into real estate,
that's what everyone thinks. You need to buy rental properties.
Rental property. You need $100,000, $200,000.
Refinance it and
but
all
fundamentally,
that shit.
there's 5 stages to getting into real estate. Number 1 is you become a bird dog. So a bird dog essentially is someone who goes out there who looks for distressed properties, houses that need a lot of work. So essentially what you do is you become a person who finds deals. But this person essentially gets paid a commission. So let's say, for example, I'm reaching out to you, say, hey, I found this property and I think, it looks very distressed. Here's the homeowner's contact. Go talk to him, and then you pay me a fee. It was like $500.
And what do you call this guy? Bird dog.
Bird dog. So this guy is all he does. So a bird dog essentially think about looking at a property, and what you're doing, you're like hunting. It's like you're shooting a bird, right? So all you do is look for properties that are a good price, and then you try to see if the numbers make sense, and you connect them to like an investor. And step number 2 is you become a wholesaler. right? A wholesaler now essentially what happens is now you find this property, right? And you, depending on, you have to find a motivated seller. You have to find someone who's motivated to sell their property, right? And you have to buy it at a very good price, right? So how we find motivated sellers, we have to go out there, we do marketing, right? So we do flyers. Either we're going to do cold calling or we do door knocking.
Or I've seen those flyers where it says, we'll buy your property cash or whatnot, things like that. Okay.
So you tell someone, but usually with wholesaling, though, someone is going to sell their property short. When I say short, they're going to have to go through a problem, right? So either they're going through foreclosure, they're going through, like my first deal that I did, someone actually was going through divorce. You know what I'm saying? So essentially someone is going through a problem and then they're going to contact you, say, hey, I want to sell the house to you and I want to sell off market. I don't want to deal with an agent.
Or so not listed as MLS or what?
Yes, because either their property needs a lot of work, it needs a lot of money that they have to put in. And you know what I mean? Agents can't really give them a top dollar because at the end of the day, they don't want to buy houses that need a lot of work. So they would come to you, they say, hey, I want to sell this property. Let's say they come to you, I want to sell for $100,000.
Yeah.
You say, okay, bet. So what happens in wholesale and real estate, we sign a contract between, you're the seller, I'm the buyer. We write up this contract. Right. And depending on, we have to do a possession date. So let's say, for example, you give me like 3 weeks to sell your property. You say in the next 3 weeks, you know what I mean? I'm going to buy your property for $100,000. But how you make money essentially as a wholesaler is you have to sell that contract to someone else. Right. So you as a seller, you were agreeing that you're going to give me X amount of days to buy it. So I'm going to buy your house cash, depending on what kind of condition as well, too. Maybe we buy it as is. We don't do any due diligence. That's something we also offer as well, because at the end of the day, as someone who's selling it off market, you have flexibility because this person probably doesn't want to show it to anybody. They don't want to go to the bank. So we'll cover your lawyer fees. We'll do all that. So we buy it off you and then we sell that deal to an investor. How we get investors, we have to work on our buyers list. We go out there, we talk to people in the market. We say, hey, I got this property. Yes, I got this property. So how you make money is you mark up the deal. So you bought it for $100,000. The fee is $10,000. So you tell this investor, hey, I got this property. I want to sell it to you for $110,000. You have to pay me $10,000, but you're going to buy this property for $100,000. But the ARV, which is the after repair value, it has to make sense for them. So after this property is all fixed up, how much is it worth, right? So they have to see the numbers, because if it doesn't make sense for them, so if they're buying it for $100,000 and they have to, spend $100,000 to fix it up, it won't make sense. But if they're buying it and they have to spend like 20 and the after repair value is like $200,000, they have so much mortgage to work with. So essentially, that's step number 2 is you become a wholesaler. You buy, all you do is you're buying properties, zero money down, right? All it really is just an assignment of contract.
Just making a contract.
Yeah. Okay. And a lot of people don't really like it because they feel like it's illegal in Winnipeg and all that. But at the end of the day, we're solving problems. Someone has the option.
You're getting potential buyers and sellers in touch and all that. So you're solving a problem. Yeah, 100%. Exactly.
And someone has the opportunity to sell their property privately. Why can't they sell private? Because at the end of the day,
save some commission and all that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And then thirdly,
why do people think it's illegal or not ethical or whatnot?
I don't know, man. I think a lot of it just comes down to real estate agents. They don't really understand the game.
They won't like you guys.
Because if you look at wholesale and real estate, it's very popular in the States. So if you go to the States, literally in Texas, Cleveland, because I was doing virtual wholesaling actually in 2024 when I first got into the business.
Virtual wholesaling.
I was doing virtual for a little bit. Like I tried it out. I started making calls in the US and stuff. I never really went forward. But in the States, bro, you could literally get someone's contact. You can get where they live. You can look at the ARV. You can get all the data
online
in the open market. Because you can go on Zillow. You can literally search someone's address. You can see how much it's worth off their outfit stuff. It's kind of pretty crazy. So in the US, it's very popular. But in Canada, nobody really I think in Winnipeg right now, there's 10 guys who are really doing it. Maybe 5 to 10 guys.
Doing it full time.
and who are very active in wholesaling.
Fully into it, okay.
So it's not really a huge market. People just... because they don't really know, right? So, and then also too, there's thousands of real estate agents, so nobody really teaches you about wholesale and real estate. And they feel also to remember, you're taking their commission as well.
There's a conflict of interest. Why would they tell you how it works and all that? So that makes sense. So first bird dog,
second wholesale, and then third is you rental properties. Right, so you start,
and that's the most common one, I think.
Third is you become a flipper. So third, you become a flipper because now you're gonna go buy these houses. Now you have to go to the bank, depending on what kind of, you're probably gonna put down 20%, 10%, right? And you buy this property. Let's say you buy it for $100,000. And then you know that your renovation cost is $50,000. You have to put it to this deal, right? Maybe you're gonna go. How you usually get this money is a lot of people. I think I've heard in this. They raise capital, right? I think that's one of the biggest challenges when it comes to flipping houses. You have to raise capital, and you have to be very good at doing that too, because then you have to know people, right? Investors have to be able to see, okay, I want to invest into you. I'm going to give you $100,000, and let's say we put $50,000 into renovation. and then let's say we can sell it for $250, right? So there's a margin there that we can work with, or $200,000. So as a flipper, your job is to always look at the numbers, because it really just comes down to the numbers.
It has to make sense, like all the repairs that you put in and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So then you become a flipper. And then fourth, rental properties. You know, people tell you right now you could build wealth using real estate by being able to buy properties at a discounted price and be able to hold on to them, and they can appreciate over time. Because I think the real estate market, especially in Winnipeg, like the last 5 years, has been going up steadily, though. I think slowly it's been going up. So I think if you bought a house in like COVID, right, you know, right now you're up, especially with the way interest rates really went. I haven't really owned any rental property, so I don't really want to know. But I think it's important, though, you really start off at the foundation level, which is as a bird dog, because then those will really teach you a lot. Number 5 is you become a capitalist. So let's say, for example, now you've made so much money. You start off as a bird dog. Your capital is starting to grow. Maybe you're doing some flips. You're owning some rental properties.
But capitalist, you mean invest and all that?
So a capitalist, think about, Warren Buffett. You've heard of Warren Buffett. He's a capitalist. You know what I mean? He has the guy has so much money to the point where now he can buy any single stock because he has so much cash piled up, right? But that's because he's been in the market for so many years, right? So as an investor, your hedge really is, because at the end of the day, you need capital. In order to scale any kind of business, you need money, right?
100%.
So once you start building that money up, now let's say, for example, you hit a capital stage where now people are bringing you deals. You say, hey, man, I got this opportunity. Can you buy it? Now you could just $100,000 here, $200,000 here. So you have so much money now, you could literally buy any single. Now maybe you're getting into multifamily, right, which is like apartment blocks. And I think that's what a lot of people do nowadays, especially in real estate.
I think you have set up yourself perfectly for the capitalist thing, because you're putting yourself out there, and that's how people will know that, okay, if I have a good deal, let's go to Henny, and he'll be able to provide me capital at some point. Let's say when you scale big enough, and I think, your stepping stones are great, man. I mean, you're doing everything in the order that you mentioned. You started as a bird dog yourself, you said?
Yeah, as a bird dog. And then I'm kind of transitioning into wholesale. And then eventually I want to get into flipping as well, too. That's kind of something I want to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but right now it's just building that cash pile, just building it up, taking that money, putting it into marketing, investing it into the communities, right?
Exactly.
But then the thing is, you don't want to just get straight into like buying whole, because now, as I've heard a lot of stories about being a landlord, it's not easy. You know? People have to deal with tenants and stuff. You know what I mean? It's
one of my so I own a house. My parents live in that house, right? So, and we have tenants in the basement and all whatnot. So one of the guys leaving, and he gave me a week's notice that I'm leaving. Now I have an empty room that I need to. Now multiply that with 100 units or 200 units, and it gets crazy, eh?
Imagine cleaning the property and having to maintain it, and that's all you have. Because people say, oh, you can hire a property manager, but in the beginning, you gotta be able to invest your time, right? So I think that's the biggest thing.
I think you made a good point there, that don't jump onto the last thing right away. Don't start buying properties right away without any prior knowledge, because with those steps that you mentioned, you'll learn on your way, and eventually you'll build up some knowledge, some resources, and some network, and then you go buy a house, or because by that time you'll know people to get things done.
And also, too, by that time, you're going to be able to get deals by yourself, because then you're not going to rely on the MLS. What a lot of people do to you see it is like, especially people from my background, they always go to a real estate agent, which is not a bad thing, but it's like, do you understand the fundamentals of like buying a house? Like, can you buy it? Because at the end of the day, you make money on the buy. Fundamentally speaking, in any business, you don't make money when you sell. So if you buy something at a very high price, you know what I mean? And then you're expecting to make money. That doesn't work. No. So I think it's if you become a very good at marketer and a very good at negotiating, because I think in wholesale and real estate, it's sales and marketing. That's literally what it really is. So fundamentally, if you just get very good at doing that, talking to sellers, getting on the phone, getting rejected so many days, if you could do that every single day, you're guaranteed to find something. Because someone is going to want to come and say, hey, like, I'm going through this problem and I want to see if you can help me. And, you know what I mean? Then you just become very good at doing that. And eventually you work your way up and you get to that stage where you're like, okay, now I want to start owning rentals. But be very good at negotiating. Be very good at getting rejected, because getting rejected is very hard for most people, because they're like, oh,
people take it personally, I believe.
Why would someone say that? But it's like, bro, understand that it's human nature. So this is actually something that I learned from one of my coaches. He said that it's in real estate, it's a human nature business. So really look at when you're dealing with sellers, and human nature meaning, let's say, for example, when you go to the coffee, when you go get your coffee, everybody gets their coffee differently. Human nature meaning when you go up and say, hey, I want to buy this medium double coffee.
Yeah.
There's different ways you're gonna say that, right? So humanly, all of us are wired differently. So all of us essentially are going through different things. And if you study human nature, it really goes back to 10, 15 years ago. So when someone is selling you their house in real estate, they're not selling you their house right now. They've been going through problems for the last 10, 15 years. But now essentially it's catching up to them. So I think human nature meaning when you look at an individual, when you look at someone, look at exactly how they're speaking to you, how some of the things they've been through in life, right? So everybody does things differently. And if you just study like why this person is selling you their house, right? What's the emotion behind it? Like, what did they go through? So if you really have that empathy for them and the understanding, I think that's what you really would. And I've realized now, like I've been able to sit down with sellers and for like the first hour, I don't even talk. I just hear them out.
Don't talk numbers
That's
at all?
it. Yeah. I'll just, because why would you just go into like, oh, how much is this property? How much? First, you get to talk to them. I've met someone, for example, who was telling me like, man, my wife passed away like a year ago. And, you know, she speaks to me at night and it's like, bro, that's deep, man. So are you able to sit there and really listen to someone, you know what I mean, speak? Because most people, okay.
The last thing you want to do is talk about numbers.
The numbers, I want to buy your house. I want to like, no, bro, like sit there. Like maybe you have to do that for 2 hours. But most people, like, especially you see, because he was telling me how like a real estate agents were coming to their house and they wanted to just buy their property. They're giving them, but it's like, do you actually know what this person is going through? So I think as an investor, I think your advantage really has to come in that human nature, that getting to know people, because everybody is going through a problem, but are you willing to sit there and have a conversation to get to know where they're going through?
Who is this coach of yours? He's telling me some great insights.
Shout out Bryce Kaminsky, man. He used to work actually for Black Card University. Stephen Arnio. So, but at the end of the day, you have to invest. You have to have mentors. You have to have people that can really, you know what I mean, show you some different things, because it's all perspective, right? I think if I sat here and told you, bro, I knew everything about the game, I would be lying to you. You know what I mean?
Nobody does nothing.
You know what I'm saying? You learn from everybody. You know what I mean? So that's kind of one thing that I've taken away.
And one thing I've realized over the years, you can't do everything by yourself. You need people around you who are good at certain things, who can get certain things done faster, better, and in much more effective manner than you.
100%.
Tell me one thing. A lot of people quit before their first sale, you know. How was your experience when you had the first wholesale deal, and how long it took you to get there?
Yeah. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So the first one is when I got into my software business. So as you're growing your business, you know, you're buying, you're selling, you're buying and selling. What happens is that people get to know you, right? So let's say, for example, you start putting yourself out, you're doing social media marketing. Now people are reaching out to you. Hey, I want to buy this. I want to buy that. Then my third month into the business, I was scaling the business. And then I actually got robbed, where I lost like $50,000. So one of my close friends that I knew when I was a kid, when I was in high school, essentially he ended up telling me, hey, I want you to go meet these two individuals. I want to buy a bunch of phones. But this individual, he was just coming out of jail like a year ago or so.
You got robbed.
So he essentially he told me to go meet these two people. And then they ended up essentially robbing me, where I lost in that transaction like $50,000. You know what I mean? And I got robbed to a gun, bro. So this is like a real, the reason why I always tell the story is because in business, a lot of time people will tell you can make so much money, but they don't tell you can actually lose a lot of money if you don't.
And you can lose your life. The way you were describing the incident,
Exactly.
What happened? Tell me more about it, man.
So that story, bro. Literally, at that time, I was trying to make money because I felt like I was trying to survive. Like I knew I was trying to quit my 9-to-5 job. I feel like, like I'm untouchable. Like nothing can happen.
Yeah,
invincible. When you're trying to do business, especially when you want to do it full time, any opportunity that comes your way, you're gonna go take it. Like someone tells you, hey, I want this deal, and you can make this, right? You're gonna take it. So
when you're building, you're in a FOMO that you don't want to miss out on anything.
Exactly. Okay. So in that deal, I was gonna sell like 20 phones. Like they were gonna buy a lot of products. So I'm like, this is about to be my biggest sale of the year. I'm about to make so much money in a short period of time. And I didn't know the downside. And next thing you know, I'm meeting these two individuals. We're actually at a parking lot too, in like Safeway. So like at an open concept, like people could really see you. But at that time, it was just very night, and I think nobody really was outside. And so I went out, and this guy told me to go meet these two people, and I drove and went into my car. They both pulled up to the driveway. And usually when I'm doing a transaction like this, I'm not really letting people get into my car. But I saw these two individuals were two black people. So let's say, for example, you're coming to buy something from me. You're black, I'm black. So automatically, what do I think? There's trust there, right? Like, what can go wrong?
100%, yeah.
So we're dabbing hands, like, bro, how is your name? What's your name? Everything is going good. I'm like, you know what? Let me just get these guys inside my car, because I have so many phones. Like, I don't want to show it to the public, right? Yeah. They came inside, bro. One guy is in the front, one guy is in the back. we're having a conversation, a real normal conversation. Like, yo, he's checking out the phone. He was about to buy like 3 phones in that deal. He just checked it out. Usually in that deal, someone would just give you the money. Like, okay, here's the phone. Because I already built so much trust at that point where people actually knew who I was. And the person that sent them, he already had bought another phone off me. So we've already
there was trust.
There was already trust there. So I'm like, nothing can go wrong here. But next thing you know, bro, this guy just flips out of nowhere. I think at that time he was on weed. He must have been high, but he must have been on something else more than weed. I think something else definitely kicked in because you know when someone
it was
just
twitchy and
he just flinched like, bro, his eyes turned to me and I'm like, yo, what the hell is going on? He pulls out his gun, puts it to my face. I'm like, yo, what's going on here, man? This is about to get real. And he's like, give me everything you got. I'm like, bro. And then I told him, my friend, like, I thought you're coming here to buy these. You know, I'm not. And then the guy in the back, so this is how I knew they're real, like they're trying to rob me. The guy in the back goes into my backpack. So how I lost 50K essentially in that deal was I had a lot of phones. So I had about 50 devices. So I had 15 Pro Maxes, 14 Pro Maxes.
That's 1,000 each. So
So the price on each device was like 1,000, right? And I had a lot of cash in my wallet as well too. So these guys, man, are like, give me everything up. He took the gun, put it into my face, bro. And at that time, bro, I'm freaking shaking. Like, imagine someone taking a gun.
So when he pulled out the gun, it must have taken a second for you to register, like, what's going on? Like
what the fuck is, you know, what's happening here, man? You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I'm tripping out because I'm like, bro, like, I'm terrified. Also, too, like, when someone does that to you, like, you're shaking, right? Your temperature is, like, going up. So it's like, what's happening? Then I'm like, I need to stay calm because if I act, this guy...
he might just pull a trigger,
because also he's on drugs, I think. So I knew he was going to do something because I felt like, yo, let me just give him everything. So I'm like, okay, bro, just take it, bro. Like here it is. And then he's like, give me your phone too. I'm like, why do you need my phone? Because that's how I'm going to contact people. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So he took everything, bro. And then the guy just told me to slide off. Don't come back. I'm like, so he just told me run away, act like nothing happened. So the guy in the back takes my whole bag. All the phones are gone. So now I'm like,
crazy,
yo,
man.
Damn, man. Like, what the hell just happened, right? So, bro, when that incident really happened,
that
bro.
setback, that must have given
Bro, that's so for about a month, bro, I wasn't even trying to go outside, bro. So if I wanted to go meet you, like, I thought you would do something to me. You know what I mean? Like, because when someone does that to you, every time you meet someone, you're terrified. You're like, yo, why should I meet? Because now every customer that I meet, I'm terrified. Like, why should I meet this customer? Like, he might do something to me, right? So automatically, you're already thinking about, like, what can go wrong, right? Of course, like that took a massive loss on me, like especially as a person, because also too my parents were like, "Why are you doing this business? Like it's not making you no money. Like just go back to working a 9-to-5 job, right?" Yeah. And so I was trying to escape my 9-to-5 job at that time because I was like, "Yo, I want to do this full time. Like I want to pursue entrepreneurship." So going back to your point, bro, like a lot of time people want to get into it to make business, to make money. But I think that the biggest thing that people need to learn is they have to go through the challenges because I think there's so many lessons that you learn.
And people usually quit at their first hurdle or challenge and then they're like, not for me.
Exactly.
But you're still going at it, so that's kind of cool, man. Yeah,
so
even after.
The story is really what makes you, bro. And I think if you have that perseverance and that mindset of like never quitting when because that example, that money that I lost, it was money I was going to take to reinvest into the business. As you know, as a business owner, when you're making money, you're taking that money, you're buying more products to be able to get more money out,
exactly.
right?
You want to scale slowly and gradually. You don't, and one setback can... reset everything.
You lost all your cap. Now you have to work from ground zero. But after that incident happened, actually, I was able to go back into the market. After about a month, I kind of paused for a little bit. Then I went back, bro. I just started doing the fundamentals of how I got into the business, bro. I was able to make that money back and even some more. So, like, but it's a gradual evolution. Just small steps each day that you make. Yeah. And that's usually what happened in that business spell. But I think wholesaling real estate, wholesaling phones, it's all the same thing, man. It's a people business. And once you understand people, you understand human nature.
It gets easier, right?
It becomes...
Does it get easier after some point? Yeah?
Yeah, it does. But I think mentally, though, you have to be very, very ready for, like, slow days. When things are not going your way, like when you're prospecting.
And slow months, too, sometimes.
Slow months. Yeah. But usually it picks up. I think, like, the thing I like about business is, like, there's going to be days where you might go, like, 10, 15 days without seeing a sale. But then, like, after that 16th day, someone might call you, be like, hey, I have this for you. Or a prospect might say, now I'm ready to sell. Now, boom, you just made $50,000. You know what I'm saying? So it's like being able to stay ready. Because most people, especially when they're working a 9-to-5 job, I've even realized when I was working a job was that you get so accustomed to that paycheck coming in.
You get programmed so much to that thing.
That paycheck is coming in every single 2 weeks. I'm ready to get my money. But with business, it's like every day you have to chip away. You have to make small progress. And then finally that day, one day, boom, you just get a big paycheck. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think that's kind of the reality so it's like...
And I believe with business, it's not all days are not same, you know. Unlike 9 to 5 where everything is routine and repetitive.
Guaranteed, you're guaranteed income. But
Yeah.
in business, it's never guaranteed. And I think that's why I love playing this game, bro, is because I know that I can't go back to work on a job. It's just like, even if I'm making like slow money or not making money, as long as I can cover my expenses, bro, as long as I'm impacting people and I'm serving them. Because I think like a lot of times, especially now, I've met so many different kind of people, they focus so much on like the money, but I think the most important thing is the character. It's the
Like you
person you
said
become,
earlier,
bro.
yes.
Like
Yeah.
if your character is like who you really are, like, because once you get money, that really amplifies who you are.
100%. I
So
agree with
the
you on that.
character
Yeah,
really
yeah.
is like, who are you on the inside? Like when you look at yourself in the mirror, like when people see you, when I connect with you, like when I say the things that I'm saying I'm gonna do I embody action, right? So if I embody
Or it's
action,
just words.
yeah.
Empty
So
words.
so I
yeah.
think that's what people really have to focus on. So if we can really focus on the character aspect and not focus on, because the money will come. Right, like once you work on the habits, once you work on the routine,
Yeah.
like that's why I'm big into like health. You know what I mean, spirituality, faith, all those things are mixed into like entrepreneurship, and people really resonate with those things because once the money is gone, now what's left? You know what I'm saying?
Who
So
are you?
Who are
once-
you on the inside?
Yeah, when
And
you
I
don't
think-
have that number in the balance, bank
yeah,
balance. Yeah.
And in business, you find this out very quickly that people have different characters, and not everybody's gonna have the same mindset, the same drive as you.
Yeah.
And you have to know who your friends are, and who this is just a business transaction. This is just one of my close friends. So you have to really find that out as you start to go. Because I met so many different kind of people now.
And
you know what I mean?
these are revelations that happen over time. It won't happen in one day. You go on this journey, and slowly one day you'll open this chest and find, okay, that's me.
Exactly,
And then
bro.
the other day you'll find something else. But you know how people say, you must have heard this too, that people change when they get money. No, they don't. I disagree with that because they don't. They just amplify. They were the same person before.
Yeah.
Now it's just amplified.
Yeah.
You didn't see that before.
Yeah.
If they are greedy or whatnot. Let's say they're knowledgeable. Let's say. Okay? I used a Hindi word.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that means okay. And,
I like
so
it. Yeah.
if someone's knowledgeable and then he gets money, he'll be more knowledgeable. If someone was clever before or cunning, and you somewhat back of the mind knew his cunning or whatnot, but he doesn't have money yet, so it's not amplified. Once he gets the money, that
Yeah.
cunningness or that cleverness gets amplified. So people don't change, in my opinion. It just gets amplified, like you said. And that's a very big point people miss usually. Like, you want to deal with people with high trust, high reliability, because you want to
Yeah.
play long-term games, right?
No, absolutely, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, man, and you have to find it as you go in business. You have to know like who do I want to work with, who do I want to deal with, right? And it's at the end of the day, you're gonna meet different kind of characters, but I think
Yeah.
mentally you have to like, because now I meet so many different kind of people. People always want to give me advice, like you should do this, you should do that. But what they don't know is like when I first started doing this, I had a vision, right? Like going back to the each one teach one thing, like I wanted to help people. I wasn't doing this for the money. Like the money was a byproduct. Me going to the community, like doing events, like now I'm gonna do about 10 events now. Like
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, bro. I haven't made no money from these events. Like
No.
I'm literally just doing this to just give back. I'm doing it
Today
because
you haven't made money, but you have made links and
in the
networks.
long run, like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
I'm doing it because I want to give back to the community. Also, too, I remember when I was first starting my business, when I was a young entrepreneur trying to figure out as a DoorDash driver, I know what it's like to not have no guidance, no mentors. So when you reflect and you look back at why you're doing this, right?
Yeah.
For the passion, for the love of giving back to the community, and now people are like, hey man, I want to support you, I want to sponsor, I want to do. So things are coming back to a fruition now. But what they don't see is like I was just doing this because I wanted to work on the skills of like talking to business owners, being able to go in the community, you know what I mean? Be a part of it. Because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you can, if all you really do is chase that money, it's like, but you never really focus on people, then it's very hard to kind of see the between. And for me, luckily, I've been able to build a business where, you know what I mean, that's what I focus on. That's what makes me money. So for me, the community aspect, I'm just giving back. And I think that's the mindset people miss a lot is they don't have an abundance mindset. They always like, oh, how much am I going to get paid
They're
for
always
this? How much can I
scratching
get
and
this, right?
scraping, yeah.
But it's like, bro, are you willing to invest? And investing sometimes it could be 10 years. Are you willing to do that? Right? So
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm signing up for, bro. And, you know, it's a journey.
You're playing the long-term game. You're right. I mean, people get accustomed to 9 to 5 and they're seeing rewards today. But a lot less people are willing to play long-term games like you are. And you might not see any returns today, but they do
Yeah.
multiply down the line. Tell me one thing, Henny, and only if you're comfortable again. So having no father figure in young life, and because it plays a big role who you become as a man and all that. How did that affected you? And you said earlier you had no guidance and as a DoorDash driver. Our name of our podcast is Undirected. We had no direction either, so we are figuring out everything ourselves.
Yeah.
So tell me more, like, how were you able to cope with all that? And if you're okay again.
Bro, to be honest, man, like I think growing up with a single parent mom, it shows you a lot. You know, like she doesn't really have as much. And I actually came here with my sister as well too. So it's like leave my mom and my sister. And it's like anything, you know, when you don't have a father figure, you don't really have anybody to look up to. But to be honest with you, I think my mom did a very good job of like installing with me early on when I was a kid the ability to work hard. Because when I was 15, like I was telling you, I was doing a little bit of entrepreneurship. I also started helping her with cleaning jobs, you know. So I would go on there, I would helping her because I knew that, you know, when you don't have much and you have to help her out, you have to go in and be able to see, okay, she's going through this. Let me start working with her. So the things that I learned in those journeys was that you have to work hard. Nothing is going to be given to you. And so I think I don't really take those as like, you know what I mean, as a down, like why did my father not, why was he not in my life? Like when I look at it, it's like I knew that I was determined to succeed in life because I was reading years ago, I read a book called Think and Grow Rich. And Napoleon Hill talks about this idea of like having a burning desire. Like if you have a burning desire, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you grew up, bro. Like if you just have that instinct, like you're going to figure it out. Like no matter where you come from, because it doesn't matter you come from a single parent mom and you grew up with nothing. You're going to figure it out because you have the mind. So you have the ability to see something that nobody could see. And so I think growing up like that, man, it shows me a lot and it really humbled me a lot because we didn't really have as much, right? And so it's like, so I think for anybody who's out there, because I know growing up, like people had their father right in their life and they were both parents, but it's like, it wasn't easy for sure, but I was able to really just like, you know what I mean? I really figure out who I was. And like I said, growing up, I saw a lot of the things that actually I grew up with. For example, I was telling you when I was an introvert, the reason why I was an introvert my whole life was because I started studying my past experiences. So if you look, your life is designed with patterns. So if you look right now where you currently are right now, it's not a coincidence, right? There's been things that have happened to you the last 10 years when you were a kid. Yeah. Because subconsciously, a lot of us are actually programmed, right? I read this guy named Dr. Bruce Lipton. He talks about this idea of the subconscious mind. So if you study... What's the name of the doctor again? Dr. Bruce Lipton. He talks about this idea by the time you're 7 years old until you're about 15 or 16, you get programmed. Right, there's this chip on your head. It's like in the subconscious mind, there's a little chip where they put things like, for example, when I grew up, you know, my teachers used to tell me like, you know, you're not gonna graduate, like he's failing, like he's not gonna make it in life. And that sticks. That sticks with you. And then my father as well too, growing up, he always ate by himself. He didn't really like being around people. So when I was growing up, how I found these things out, my mom, I was telling her like, why am I? Because I go to school, I wasn't talking to anybody. I'm like, why is this happening to me? She was telling me things like, you know, your father, he didn't really like being around people. She's like, you're like your father. You don't like to be around people. You're always eating by yourself. So as I started to look, I'm like, why are these habits? So she already knew what was happening to me because she saw the impact of him in my life. So if you look back at your life, there's patterns that happen. But the only way to look at the patterns, you have to reflect. So as I got older, because when you're young, you're moving at like a 100-mile pace. You're running, especially through my whole high school career. You're going so fast. And you never take the time to pause. And so when I got older, I started reflecting a lot. And I said, okay, why is these things happening to me? And so I started looking back at my father. I started looking back at my teachers, what the things they were saying. I'm like, is this true about me? No, it's not true. I can create a new paradigm. I can create a new shift. So then I started getting into business, started working on personal development, started working on my mindset, my health, and my spirituality. So I think it's an evolution. It doesn't happen right away. But if you can notice those things that happen to you, and oftentimes too, I thank my mom a lot for the things that we've been through, but a lot of time your parents won't really know what you want because they don't really know. They don't really have, they come from the industrial age where they had to work hard, you know what I mean, earn money, right? You trade your time for money. These are all the things that they learn. So you have to be able to know that people are not going to support you in the beginning, even family. They're going to say, oh, this thing won't work out. Like, why are you doing this? You're not making no money. But it's like, bro, I'm chasing my passion. You know what I mean? I'm going after something that I believe in. A lot of people go to school, they get an education, they spend so much money into college and tuition. For me, where I paid my tuition was in entrepreneurship. I lost $50,000 in the market, and then I paid another tuition in my phone business where I lost another $50,000. So at the end of the day, I still paid my tuition, but I paid it in the game of entrepreneurship. Exactly, yeah. Instead of paying it, giving it to some college or whatnot. Exactly. So it's like at the end of the day, you have to be willing to take those losses. And there will be setbacks, 100%. But the skills that you take, that you learn from those things, it's invaluable. You could, because at the end of the day, I think it's not the money, it's the skills. So you're not really starting from zero. Like if you lose a lot of money, you don't actually start from zero. Those skills still are with you.
Yeah,
right?
that experiences are with you. Like something
Exactly.
you got robbed of $50,000 on a gunpoint, and that is a story for ages. I mean, you can tell that to your kids, and those are stories that make you who you are. You know. And
Exactly,
coming
bro.
back to the habits, you're right. You don't get anywhere coincidentally. You're a product of your habits, your patterns, and once you stop and look back and reflect, it's very important. And that happened with me recently. I was trying to figure out how can I get myself, motivated to do certain things. Let's say get rid of some vices, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And then I found out as a kid when I was in grade 11, I used to challenge myself by saying, okay, do this X and then you get this Y. And that motivated me to a point that I wanted to, okay, I promised myself I'll get all A's in grade 11 or grade 12, and then I'll get PS4 for
I
myself.
see what you mean. Yeah. Rewarding
So I'll put a
yourself,
challenge myself, and once that challenge is done, then I'll be rewarded. So I started doing that now, and it's working, man. And now I find out, oh, as a kid,
Nice.
this pattern used to work. Why don't I apply this now? So you're 100% right on that.
Nice, man. Yes, it's all about reflection, bro. Once you're able to reflect and look back at where you were before, that nothing is coincidence. Like people look, oh, like how are you doing this now? It's like, bro, there is so much that has happened the last 6 years. You're just looking at now what's had happened in the last, because you just met me like, let's say 3 months ago, whatever.
Exactly.
But they forget like the process to getting to where you are. So I honestly believe the process is the shortcut. So the process meaning like the things that you're going to go through right now, the business failures, the people who are not going to believe in you, the doubts, the challenges.
And why
like,
would
all
they
those
believe
things.
in you? You have nothing to
Exactly.
prove yet.
Exactly,
you haven't
bro.
proven anything. Your name accounts to nothing.
Exactly.
I mean,
man.
we're all nobodies right now, and we're trying to become something. So it comes with its own challenges. And coming back to your point, man, I mean, sometimes we don't have mentors in our life, and then we find mentors outside, and we live in the age of technology. So, yeah, man.
Information overload. I like to call it. There's a lot of information.
What do you like to call it?
Information overload. There's a lot of information out there, man.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. And
They just
some
keep-
crap information too. You have to be careful, like what you want to believe in, and
Yeah. But ultimately, you have to find a mentor. I think the fastest way to building wealth or the fastest way to getting to your outcome is you have to find someone that has done the thing that you want. You have to because here's the thing: you can either pay with time or you can pay with money. Because the fastest way to get there is with money that I found. So you pay this person, right? He teaches you everything, the frameworks, the thing that he has done, and you can get there much quicker. I think people, what they do is they don't want to invest
You
into
can
the
either pay with your
time or you pay with money. They don't want to
okay.
invest because they feel like, oh, if I invest, am I gonna get an ROI? But it's like either you're gonna invest this money, like for example, when you invest into stocks, what are you looking for? You're looking to get an ROI, right? It's the same thing with real estate, right? But people don't want to invest into themselves, but they forget that the highest ROI that you're gonna get is in you. I think Mosley talks about don't invest into the S&P 500, invest into the SME 500, right? Which is yourself, because the highest ROI you're gonna
Mosley
get.
has some cool lines, man.
The highest ROI you're gonna get is in you. So why are you investing into want to buy this? Stock. You want to buy it, but it's like invest into your education, invest into your mindset, into your skill set. Because if you can learn sales, marketing, copywriting, that could pay you for a lifelong. I'm just like you earlier. You're saying you were watching YouTube videos to learn this stuff. That's how I started learning a lot of stuff. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos and I was able to take it and learn it and go. So everybody learns differently. But I'm very practical. So if I see something, I don't really like to wait 5 months. I see an idea. You tell me something. Hey, like let's do this. I take action because I believe in the speed of implementation. So if you see an idea, right, you try that idea and then you do it a bunch of times and then you do iteration. So let's say, for example, you want to get into content creation, right? In the beginning, you're going to suck because you don't know until you do 100 videos, right? Once you do 100 videos, and then what's going to happen is you're going to know which ones are working, which ones are not working.
And now you have a pool to look at, like.
Exactly. So now how you improve after 100 is you start doing iteration. So you look at out of those 100 content that you just posted, which one out of those 100 are working, which ones are performing. Then you want to start doing those contents.
More of,
So what a lot of people don't do is they don't do it enough, and then they wonder why they're not getting success because they probably just stop at 100. But you have to keep doing it until you find out which one is really going to stick. So I think you have to invest into that mentor. And then once you get the mentor, you have to be able to take action. Because you can get all the information, but if you don't take action, it becomes information overload, like I was saying. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. I mean, we live in an age where you can, give money to someone and get things done. A lot more And with that comes the challenge that people have forgotten how to iterate and try to themselves.
Yeah.
And because Vikings didn't have YouTube, you know, they didn't know how to make a ship or build a ship. They tried, they failed, and then they lost. Some of them lost their lives too in the process. But at the end of the day, it really matters how many times you can iterate. You're right.
Yeah, 100%, bro. And I think earlier you were talking about like growing a business. I think recently that I'm in a phase where like I'm transitioning more into like a business owner because for the longest period of time I was just an entrepreneur. I used to like buy products. I would try to do everything by myself. But I think I'm at a stage where I'm realizing like to be a business owner, it's someone who can be able to delegate, someone who can be able to work with people, who can essentially, because I grew up playing sports as well too. I was telling you earlier, like I played basketball growing up. So I've always knew that, especially on a sports level, in order to win as a team, 5 people have to be contributing, not just one person. So in entrepreneurship, it's really the same thing. But I think a lot of time when we're getting into business, we feel like, oh, I want to grow this business. I think I can get there by myself. But it's like, no, you have to be able to work with people. And I think I'm at a stage where it's like, how can you work with people? How can you be able to make money, be able to buy back your time? Because the only currency you really have is time. You can always make more money, but your time is very limited. So I think that's kind of something that I've realized, like, I think the last like 2 years or so, really just like, how do I hire people who are better than me, who can help me get to my destination? So if it's me getting video editors, me finding contractors, right? Smaller the things that you can really, and sometimes those smaller the things, when you start investing into them, now you realize, oh, okay, so money is like, if I just do more in my business and pay this person, I can get more output. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. I think you don't want to be stuck with everything doing yourself and all that. So
that's the biggest challenge, with entrepreneurs, man.
I think, I'm facing that challenge currently. I'm having difficult time delegating things. I'm trying to do everything myself, and you have limited time, and it goes by fast if you try to do everything by yourself. And
absolutely, bro. And I think you don't know until you really go. But in the beginning, I think you have to do, my mentor calls it the unscalable to scale. So meaning like, if you started in the beginning, if you were prospecting clients, if you were talking to them and you were doing that 100 times a day, you're doing, you're posting content, eventually it's going to get to a point where you're doing so much output. But what got you there was doing the fundamental stuff. I think what happens is that as you grow your business, you start forgetting, oh, like I was already doing this, so I don't need to do it anymore. But it's like, you still have to go back to the fundamentals, because if you want to scale anything, you have to do the unscalable to scale, right? So now, for example, especially a lot of the event stuff that I do, people look at that stuff like finding speakers is the smallest thing, right? People be like, how do you find these speakers? Like, where do you get them? Like, it's not, I don't have someone who I'm like, hey, bro, go talk to this person and tell them to come speak. Like, I go out there, I reach out to this person. I say, hey, bro, do you want to come out and speak? And in the beginning, you get a lot of rejection. People say no. So I think fundamentally speaking, as you grow your business, you still have to do the fundamental things that can get you to that destination. So I think it's the fundamentals, they always work, right? But sometimes as we get bigger, we tend to forget those things. So for me, I always kind of remind myself, like, I still have to prospect. I still have to go find deals. I still have to go do marketing, because I don't want to forget, like, oh, now I'm getting success. No, because someone can always take your spot. Now, that's the biggest thing, you know what I mean? So, because there's a lot of people coming into the market now, right? If you just think, oh, like, I'm going to slow down now, like, it's very easy, because momentum, bro. Yeah. As you know, momentum is a physics law, right? You know, it says an object at rest stays at rest. So that means you have to build inertia. Inertia meaning once you start moving, right, it's a compound effect. And it gets easier. It gets easier and easier. So I realized every time you're stagnant, bro, you realize like, man, I'm not making progress. But once you start moving, you get closer to your goals and aspirations. And I think you always have to have a target, depending on what your target is. So let's say you want to make $20,000 in your business. That's a target. Now, working backwards, how are you going to get to $20,000 in your business? So I think it's always have to have a goal, an idea of where you want to go, and then you just work backwards. And I think, but there's always, you have to work on the process of getting to that 20,000. People say, oh, like, I want to make 20,000. It's like, what are you going to do to get to 20K? You know, you have to call these many people. You don't have to do this many. You need to have an action plan too. You can't just throw a number on the board and say, okay, it'll magically appear. Yeah. Nah, man, that's not how it works. Tell me one thing, honey. Yeah. So when you had no money, let's say, and now you have 100K in your account, does the fear of losing 100K comes to your mind? Of course, bro. Yeah. Because it's like, especially like where we grew up from, bro, it's like money was never given to us. So it's like we have to really understand that things can always come and go, right? Like at the end of the day, but I think ultimately though, the goal is like, I don't know who it was, like, I think Napoleon Hill in the book, he talks about how like, he interviewed a lot of people, successful people in business. And what he did essentially was, there's a guy named Henry Ford, who I think he built the automotive industry. Ford guy. Henry Ford, where he made so much money in his business. I think when he passed away, he was worth like $1 billion or something like that.
Back then.
Yeah. But what Henry Ford did was, though, he made so much money. The last like 5 years of his existence, he wanted to give back all the money that he made. So what does that tell you? It tells you that when people make so much money, now they get to a stage where they're in their giving back season. So I think it's important that once we start making money, now it's like, what do we do after this? Now we have to be able to give it back, because once we know abundance, it's like, okay, when we give, it's the same thing with what I was saying with the community, with helping people. It's like,
and that's the final calling too, you know? So
exactly. And I think sometimes we think that we have to have a lot in order to give. But you don't have to have a lot in order to give, bro. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
you don't have to have a lot to give. You don't have to have a lot to start something too. So
because once you have a lot, now you're like, oh, now I want to give. But it's like, you already have a lot. Why would you give now? But when you have little, then you start giving. You realize when you start giving, it's like abundance. It's like things start coming back to you. You know what I mean? So that's what I believe in, bro. I believe in like karma as well too. Is a big one that I believe in. Like, when you do things bad to people, it comes back to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so depending on how you treat customers, like if I say, hey, bro, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna deliver it within X amount of days, or if something happens with the product that I sell you and I ended up not fulfilling it and I treat you bad and I just ignore you, I know that if I do that with 5 customers, the next person who's number 6, it's gonna come back to haunt me, right? So it's like, I think we have to understand that it's a law and effect. Like what you give, what you do, it comes back to you. It's the same.
There is a ripple effect, 100%.
It's the same thing with money as well too. You know what I mean? So it's like how much you have, it's like understand that it can come and it can go. But it's like when you have it, though, how do you protect it? How do you grow it? And I think that's one thing that I think that's something that, especially in business terms, it's like things that you have to really learn, because nobody teaches you about finance and how to keep your money, how to protect it. You know what I mean? That's the stage that I'm also looking to grow and kind of evolve as well too. You know what I mean?
I mean, the last time I was at your event, it's just a suggestion from my side. I would say that having people from more different industries would help. You know, let's have a finance guy on the panel. Let's throw in a guy who's been doing content more than, you know, and is quite famous in Winnipeg. Mortgage broker or some, you know, from different fields, a lawyer maybe, let's say, because real estate requires a lot of lawyers, right? And of
course, I
don't know if you have done something.
So no, that's actually a great question. So that event was primarily a real estate event. So that was like our first real estate event. But if you came to my other events, it was a mix. So I've had someone who's in AI, someone who's in construction, someone who's in like, you know what I mean, consultant. So like it was always been a mix. But
and this one help you diversify.
But this one it was just like, I want to focus on real estate, because like that's because at the end of the day, people who are coming to the event, they know, okay, this is a real estate event. Because remember, everybody wants to go to different events. People want to learn about AI. They want to learn about social media marketing. It's all different target. Like for example, if you're a mortgage specialist, like you want to go to an event that's about real estate, because you know you want to go find clients that they're gonna get your business. So that was a very targeted business. But we've done events around all different kind of things, you know.
And you're giving back to community, which is fine, great, man.
100%, bro.
Tell me one thing. If you have a magical wand and you can wiggle around and change one thing in Winnipeg, what that would be? And from business point of view, like if we get this in Winnipeg, all the businesses will be better, or.
Yeah, I've actually thought about this quite some time. So like my ultimate goal, bro, is not even to make like millions of dollars and make trillions. It's actually to help 10,000 people, and 10,000 actually black people, like people from my country, like African people, because I feel like as African people, we have so much potential. We have so much knowledge to share with the world. And so my mission is, like I was telling you earlier, each one teach one. That's what I really believe in. Because I remember growing up, like, especially in Sudan and coming to Canada, like, you don't really have a lot. So being able to, because I believe a black man is unstoppable once he gets knowledge. Because I think, you know what I mean, who was it, Farrakhan or someone used to talk about knowledge of self. Because once you get knowledge of self, you can start doing for self. Because once you know yourself, once you're getting information, I think Nelson Mandela was another person too who, if you look at Nelson Mandela, you know what I mean, one of the most successful, you know what I mean, black people back in the day who went to jail, right? He fought for black people, right? He wanted to get freedom. What happened? He was doing so much for black people. They put him in jail because he was making a movement. So I think you have to realize that once you start getting success, once you start helping people are going to want to take you out. People are going to want to put you in this environment. Because the elites don't want the masses to be educated. And exactly. It's the same thing as well too with Malcolm X, right? What happened to Malcolm X is the same thing. They put him in jail, but what did they start doing? Nelson Mandela, same thing. They went out there, they started reading books, they started getting information. Then what happened? Their mindset started to develop. So I think it's, as a black man, especially in this world, it's like we don't really know as much. So if you give a black man knowledge, you know, they say if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book, right? So with those people, that's a real thing. If you want to hide something from a black, put it in a book. So because what happens? We don't read. We don't like to get information. We don't consume anything. Because we're so programmed, right? Especially if you look at, for me, for example, I grew up playing basketball, and I was big into hip hop as well too. I grew up listening to hip hop. Yeah. So you realize a lot of times, like, we're so programmed with information, with hip hop, with the music, that they put so much these things to you that when you get older, now that's all you're thinking about. You're thinking about girls, you know what I mean?
Roman circus,
females, all. Because it's like a matrix. You get what I'm saying? But when you look at history, when you look at like where we come from, like, we're very talented people, we're very smart people. So going back to your question, bro, like, I want to help 10,000 black people, 10,000, because at the end of the day, like, once I help enough people, the money is gonna come.
Yeah, right? You're adding value to the society, so it'll show up. Yeah,
it's a byproduct. So I think that's the mindset that I have, bro. And I actually discovered this, like, I think a couple years ago, and it's like, I know that, like, some people are like, oh, like, yo, what am I doing? What can I get from this? Like, that's not what I'm thinking about. You have to have a bigger why to what you're doing it for. And sometimes your why is going to be very scary. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it's about my family and my community and helping people that, like I said, entrepreneurs, people who are like people in the inner city. Because inner city people, like I was saying, when I grew up here, I was very young. So I know what it's like to grow up in 95 Ellen Street in Aircom, where people are like, you know what I mean, getting into drugs, getting into gangs. Like, I had like 3 friends who passed away just getting into gangs. So that's like, I've experienced so many different things when I was a kid, bro. So when I talk about it, it's not just from like watching a movie or watching a doc. Like, I've been through these things, and I know what it's like to grow up in these environments. So my message is like, I know what you went through. Like, you don't have to go through the same thing. So here's some things that I can teach you, or I can connect you with this person that can help you. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I feel like my mission is now, and to continue that legacy, and that's kind of what drives me every single day, bro.
Listen, man, this conversation has been a great one. I like your mission statement. You want to help 10,000 people, and I think people will look at this conversation at some point and find out the hidden gems. Thank you so much for doing this, brother. It was a pleasure to have you.
No, I appreciate it, man. This is a pleasure, bro. And I really like that you guys are doing this, man. Because at the end of the day, you have to start, right? You know what I mean? Once you start something, nobody's gonna believe in it. But once you have that vision, like you're doing right now, you're taking action. Because to do this, most people are sitting on the sideline. It's like they're still watching YouTube videos, but you ended up watching,
but not producing.
They're not producing, but you're taking action. So you have to give yourself an applaud. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it, bro. It's a pleasure. And thank you for reaching out, because a lot of people, they don't want to reach out. They just think, oh, he might have. For me, one thing I noticed, that I look at opportunities are happening. So once someone reaches out, they say, hey, do this. I say, let's do it.